Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast for the Rewind Show, where we look forward to looking back at some of the last times we played this weekend's upcoming opponents. Hello, my name is Craig Fimbo. Welcome to the Blue Monday Rewind Show, where we look at the last time we played this weekend's forthcoming opponents in the top division and more games from the not-so-distant past. This is your first instalment of your Blue Monday build-up to the weekend. David Diamond, are you okay? What a result that was yesterday. We're recording this on Sunday morning. We've won an FA Cup game, David.
Hey, we're through to the heady heights of the fifth round in the FA Cup for the first time in, is it 19 years, 18 years?
Something like that, wasn't it? Yeah, crazy.
Honestly, I mean, the fourth round was heady enough. I mean, I know we reached it, skate over that last season, but the fifth round of the Cup, yeah, a good solid performance at Coventry. And I think we said before we came on air, just shows the difference now, struggling. All right, Coventry haven't been pulling any trees up so far this season, but what are they, mid-table? Had a decent run under Lampard, four on the spin until they ran into Leeds. Well, most people, other than Millwall yesterday. But anyway, good performance, thoroughly professional performance, and as we said, the heady heights of the fifth round of the Cup. But obviously, you and the guys will be describing in far greater detail later this evening.
Yes, and we'll have described by the time people listen. So we are now on to Aston Villa, Dave. Dr. Joseph Venglos, Deadly Doug Ellis, Prince William, Tom Hanks.
Honestly,
the Holt End.
Their celebrity fan base is incredible. Yeah, Prince William being probably the
proper
most
football club, though, Dave, aren't they?
Proper old football club, proper old school. Yeah, proper old, one of the old traditional grounds, Villa Park. And as we'll see, kind of hasn't entirely been a happy hunting ground for us over the years. But as we'll see, we have pulled one or two results out of the bag, probably including the last time when would we have last played Villa? What season? I know I saw us win 2017. Emir Hughes. I went with Ben that day. A late Emir Hughes goal.
Jack Grealish, at home when they beat us, didn't they? That was 8 years ago.
Yeah, 8 years. Yeah. So hasn't always been a happy hunting ground for us, but no, as you say, a good old traditional club, good history there, and great old ground, that's for sure.
Well, talking about their history, here's a quick quiz for you. How many times have they won the league, in the top league?
How many times have Villa won the top league? Well, they certainly won it in 1980.
Oh, don't worry about that, Dave. Scoot over that one, mate. How many times, other than the one that we don't like to talk about, have they won the top league? And more than I thought.
Well, I tell you what, up until about Villa, one of these clubs, obviously one of the oldest established clubs, and I know from when I was a proper football nerd, even more than I was now, back in my younger days, as we perhaps all were, Villa for ages were the record FA Cup winners. They'd won the cup up until I reckon the 80s. They won the cup more than anybody else, like 7 times. So
correct.
I'd say you'd put the league on a similar thing. So I reckon they've won it 5 times.
They've won it 7 times as well.
Well,
yeah, just goes to prove, doesn't it, that they are. Yeah, well, although most of those times were when the year started with 18, to be fair, and they had a 71-year gap before winning it in 19.
I knew there was a massive gap, yeah, a bit like the Preston North Ends and I haven't won it since, but the Huddersfields back then, the old initials established sides of the old. Sorry, it was called the foot for those kids out there. It was called the Football League back then.
So we're going to have a chat. Mike squeezed in 3 games if we can. We may go slightly off the beaten contractual path to talk about a cup game, although we weren't allowed to talk about the Liverpool away cup game in one of our previous rewind shows. But anyway, our old friend, season 2001-2002.
Yeah.
Monday, the 17th of December, 2001. Monday, because it was live on Sky Sports. More on that in a bit.
Oh, go on. Yeah, okay.
No.
Yeah, okay. I won't steal your thunder. Go on.
Number one in the charts, Dave, had just knocked Daniel Bedingfield's Got to Get Through This off number one. We've
Oh,
spoken
it's
about this couple before.
Robbie Williams and
Yep,
Nicole Kidman, was it?
correct.
There
Yes,
you
that would
go.
remain at number one for Christmas
Yep.
2001. Well done, everybody.
We've only covered that about 5 times this season, but anyway, let's go. Yeah.
So this is the middle of December. We hadn't won a league game since the Finidi Derby home game in August, which was our only league victory at that point. I will get the the league table up.
Oh no. Oh no. But hey, as we've spoken about in recent weeks, it was going to look a hell of a lot better in a couple of months.
Yeah, momentarily. So yes, we found us just languishing at the foot of the league. 9 points from 16 games, 14 goals from 16 games, 9 losses from those 16 games. So not covering ourselves in glory this season. The programme is obviously a Villa player, but I picture him more in a Borough shirt than a Villa shirt. This gentleman,
Looking down.
Dutch midfielder.
George Boateng.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
George Boat.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's fair play to him. Now, just a quick one. As sort of Dave alluded to before, Sky Sports this was on, and Dave has just mentioned to me, well, I've mentioned to Dave previous during the week that I was on Sky Sports for this game. I was, if you cast your mind back 23 years, 24 years, they used to have fans, bloody idiots, in the some broom cupboard at Sky commentating on the game, and you could press the red button and listen to unprofessional people talking about the game rather than professional people talking about the game. And I was one of the two that they chose to commentate on this game. And, commentators get a lot of stick. Commentators get a lot of stick from me. Dave, try and commentate on a football match for 90 minutes. It is, and especially when your team ends up getting beaten by a horrifically deflected goal.
Oh, it's a horrible goal, wasn't it? Absolutely horrific. More of that later. How did you? I've got to ask. So, how did that come about, Craig? Obviously, you applied. How did it come about? On a postcard? You wrote a postcard.
Well, it was a long time ago, yes. And at the time, I was sort of occasionally working shifts in London, night shifts in London, and we had a lot of time on our spare hands in some operations centre. And there wasn't many websites talking about football back then. It was like Sky Sports, BBC, Football 365, and that was pretty much your lot.
TWTD was probably just
TWTD.
Yeah,
yes, that's
obviously.
right.
Yeah.
And I just happened to apply on the Sky Sports website. We're looking for people to support us, fans to help us out. So did it and got a phone call. And they picked me up at Liverpool, gave me a first class ticket to Liverpool Street, and picked me up at Liverpool Street. Got off the train at Liverpool Street, which I did all the time anyway. And there was a guy holding a sign like they do at the airports.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Saying Finbo.
What, Swift and sorry, don't say whisked you off in a limo. Tell me.
Whisked me off in a Peugeot 406. What's the sleeker looking ones?
Yeah,
409 maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, from Liverpool Street to Isleworth isn't the most direct route, on certainly not rush hour.
Certainly would have taken you longer than the train journey, I guess. What? So were you obviously there side by side with a Villa fan?
Yeah, in like a little broom cupboard. So we went there, had a spot of lunch, had a quick look in the studios and stuff, and then got stuck in a broom cupboard with a lip mic for 2 hours.
That is sensational stuff. And there is for you listeners, viewers, there is YouTube footage of it out there. If you search for it is, we'll search for the Villa game, and it will come up. A Villa, maybe it was that Villa fan has put it out there. I don't know, the other Villa fan, but it's on there. And there is Craig Sky introducing Craig at the start of the programme. Tremendous stuff. Tremendous stuff.
Happen. I've got a VHS of the whole game with me commentating, but nobody wants to listen to that. In terms of the lineups, Dave, let's talk about something we need to talk about. Lineups: Ipswich Town. Naylor and Armstrong up front, I think, is probably the most highlighted point there.
That's a sort of physical pair, I would say. Yeah, and certainly one that I don't think we've described before this season, have we? I'm pretty sure. Not that front pair. The rest, pretty much. obviously Serini and goal, it pretty much picks itself. So what we must say, as we covered this before, this was the last game of the dreadful run before the ridiculous run starting at Tottenham away the following weekend, wasn't it? So this
Yeah,
was like obviously mid-December. Yeah.
the Renaissance.
Yeah.
Villa. It got some interesting names in the Villa lineup. Peter Schmeichel being one of them
You just
in goal.
forget, don't you?
Paul Merson being one just off the striker.
He was a lovely footballer, Paul Merson, wasn't he? Absolutely great player. And that position was I always thought that was his best position, both at Villa and Arsenal, if you remember. So this was his, end of his, I think it must be end of his season at Villa, because the next season he went to Portsmouth and, virtually, I say single-handedly, but he was a major catalyst in getting them promoted, wasn't he? Absolutely bossed the Championship the following season. Solid players. Steve Stone was in the Euro 96 squad. Lee Hendry, who's obviously now a punter on Sky Sports.
Gareth Barry went making one of his very early Premier League appearances before he added another 2000.
One of the top 3 record Premier League appearances, and more of him later. But Juan Pablo Angel up front.
Yeah, he had come in for Dion Dublin, and
Yeah.
Peter Schmeichel was in for Peter Enkelman in goal.
Yeah.
So let's quick talk about the game, Dave. And we took the lead, and I got to sing the Finidi song live on telly. So please do not search for that.
You need to dig that footage out.
But this goal was maybe, did it show Peter Schmeichel's age somewhat? Yeah, he wasn't his most sprightliest.
Yeah, did it catch him unawares? I think the ball's played. I have to describe this goal. I think the ball's played forwards at Armstrong. I don't know, probably about 20 yards out, just outside the box, and he sort of knocks it back inside. To be fair, Finidi hits it quite early from quite a long way out, isn't it? Sort of 30 yards. It doesn't appear to be the most, as Craig sort of alluded to, doesn't appear to be the most well-struck shot. But I haven't really watched it back, but I think maybe in deference to Schmeichel, he's a little bit unsighted. But anyway, it's perfectly in the not well struck, but it's perfectly placed, let's say, in the low to Schmeichel's right. And I remember watching the game on Sky and sort of, Christ, we're winning.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones where you hit it, and it is one of those ones where a player hits it from outside the box, and it's not particularly well hit. And it's almost, it's in. It's one of those, wasn't it?
Yeah. Very similar to a sort of mirror image of a goal we might talk about after the break.
Incredibly similar, I would suggest. Yeah.
But the reports that I've read suggested that we were actually on top and looking likely to add a second. We'd had a free kick and a couple of attempts, but just couldn't quite put the ball in the back of the net. But unfortunately, just before half time, there's a bit of a flappy mix up from a corner. The corner comes in and Serini manages to backpedal and push it back into the 6-yard box, and it gets sort of cleared. And Naylor has a couple of chances to get rid of it and doesn't. And then
it's a decent cross. He goes back to Staunton, doesn't it? He swings in an great left foot, Steve Staunton, doesn't he? Swings in and sort of left foot cross from an angle, and it's quite a clever header. I think seeing the footage, Angels kind of gets in front of McGreal and sort of, one of those classic headers heads the ball back the way it's come, and he's only about 6 yards out, and Serini's got no chance. But Serini, she perhaps should have done better initially. Maybe, stronger referees might have a little bit of contact there in this day and age anyway, might have given a foul there. But again, it was typical of, I guess, our luck, our play that season that is right on, pretty much right on half time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sort of took the wind out of our sails a little bit. I think the crowd got up after that, and then second half we didn't quite reach the heights that we had in the first. But again, you talk about luck, Dave. This goal here, it's one of those.
I hope you threw your lip mic on the floor at this one, and good old Scotty wrecked the studio. Come on, tell me you did. Oh my God, it's a horrible goal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's head in hands. It's one of those guy next to you's gloating away as it's clips off of John McGreal, and as soon as it hits John McGreal,
you know it.
You know exactly.
And I bet you're looking at the guys looking at you. So we got a bit lucky there, didn't we? You go, yeah. I mean, it's a really nice ball, sort of reverse pass from Stone. I think who picks the ball up. Really kind of. I think it's quite a clever ball and quite a good spin from Angel. I think he spins away from. I think it's Venus.
Venus, yeah.
and he hits a ball. Oh, it's horrible from an angle. It's Reedy's in a good position. He's quite, he's not on his line. He's out, ready to narrow the angle sort of thing. And he hits it quite early from an angle, sort of like, I don't know, 50 yards out the angle of the box. And it's one of these slow motion goals, and it sort of clips McGreal on the ankle. And he just could go anywhere, but it sort of balloons up. And then I think it even spins in the goal, doesn't it? Oh, it's a proper Benny Hill type goal. It is. It's one of those, isn't it? And you think, oh, for God's sake. But all you'd say about that, that probably summed up. Because I think if you look, going back to league table, we said before at this stage, we really haven't conceded many goals. I think we've lost a lot of games by the odd goal, and probably games, if you look at that, not really, but look, Leicester -20, -19, all right, -12, but that's a hell of a bad run when you think there was no wins after our second game. All right, we've drawn a few, but I think it was just typical. But obviously, what I would say about this game overall, obviously the signs were there, particularly from the first half of what was to come in the hope that was going to be bred in the coming weeks, really, starting the next week at Tottenham, which we covered earlier on.
The false dawn that was heading our way. Yeah, just a quick look at the league table. Obviously, we hadn't improved our league position. But as you say, Dave, about goals conceded, we'd conceded as many goals as Manchester United had in sixth.
But actually, just
couldn't
not
score
scoring.
Many, could
just couldn't score, could we? No. Despite, we were going to boost that considerably in the coming weeks. So, as we said before, Marcus Bent was going to come in and go off on a decent run. But always interested to note the ref for that game was good old Mike Dean.
Yes, thank you. A quick word from our sponsors, Dave, and we shall be back to talk about slightly more joyous matches against Villa after the break.
Blue Monday is proudly brought to you in partnership with our friends at Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for work on property or business law. Their client care has repeatedly been recognised as outstanding, and they are people-focused with a plain English approach which sets them apart. They have offices in Ipswich, Colchester and London, and to find out more, head to atwells.com.
Thank you, Mikey and others. And also, as ever, many thanks to All About Hearing, Suffolk-based hearing care professionals, 2 locations in Ipswich, help you out. If you have any personal hearing requirements or needs, allabouthearing.co.uk, and One Stop Badges, guys that are just below Dave there. As it says on the tin, One Stop Badges. Their details are also in the pod description if you need anything from those guys as well. Thank you to everyone for continuing to support the pod and helping us out. We're moving back, Dave, a little bit further. Saturday, March the 12th, 1994. Number 1 in the charts, Dave, was a diva with a cover version. And she probably earned the writers of this cover version an awful lot of money. American diva.
So, woman.
I thought it was a cover of the guy that had the hit in the 70s, but it wasn't. His was a cover of Badfinger, who actually wrote the song. 2 members of Badfinger.
That's Nilsson. That's Mariah Carey.
It is Mariah Carey.
Without you. Well, you've told, I only. Do you know what? I always thought that, and I don't know why I found out. Maybe it was a pop quiz or music quiz, something I was at only a couple of years ago that Nilsson's wasn't the original. Nilsson's version was obviously Mariah Carey was astronomical, but Nilsson's version's a brilliant version. I can't say I've ever heard the Badfinger one. To be fair, I'll have to perhaps put that right.
There's a bit of a sad story behind that, because I think there's a lot of falling out about the royalties associated with Badfinger and writing the song and the Harry Nilsson
obviously
copy, etc. And things didn't end well for 2 members of Badfinger. We'll just leave it there. What was Badfinger's biggest hit, Dave?
Oh no! Go on.
You'll know it. Not if I start singing it, you won't. But you'll know it. Come and get it. If you want it, here
if you want it, come and get it. Oh, yeah.
That's it? Yeah, that was them.
Good track.
Well, who wrote that?
Oh, no. Look, was it given?
It was Paul
given to him
McCartney.
by
It was Paul McCartney, mate.
Yeah, that would have been my guess, but there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we won't dwell on it too long. Right.
Well,
In terms of the league status, we were on the back of a 5-1 home gubbing. Are we allowed to call it by
cuffing? We were, weren't we?
Arsenal and our friend Ian Wright. We've spoken about before about Ian Wright enjoying playing against Ipswich Town and John Walk in the Premier League. Although the league itself didn't look too bad, we found ourselves in 15th out of 22 as it was at the time.
We said about this season it was our most boring season, and some of the I know some of the displays, particularly away displays, you see old reports of them. I think we've probably covered one or two this season. I don't think we've done many games in this season, to be fair. We were perhaps covered one or two, and we were really, talk about low block, we were low block. I think we were really boring. But, I mean, it works. As you can see there, we were pretty we were very difficult to beat. Got 12 draws there.
Well, you can look at two of the teams directly below us, Dave. Tottenham and Chelsea were below us in the league.
Look at that, honestly. Yeah. You just forget Chelsea's similar record. Yeah, just forget that, don't you? Blimey. Yeah.
Obviously, Manchester City below us, but that was a different Manchester City to the one we're in nowadays. But certainly, Tottenham and Chelsea were supposedly large clubs and found themselves in 16th and 17th.
Look who's bottom, Swindon Town. I mean, they've all been up there. Yeah, incredible. Blackburn still, obviously, off the back of success there.
James Norwood's Oldham found themselves there as well.
Yeah.
In terms of the cover, you may not be able to tell from this photo that I'm going to put up in a sec, but Villa was shortly going to be playing in a Coca-Cola Cup final. Difficult to tell from the photo I'll put up. But you've got 3 for the price of 1. A guy who won the league with Everton and Arsenal.
That's Kevin Richardson.
Correct. A Cockney Irishman midfielder.
Andy Townsend.
Correct. And a defender, Oldham, I'm thinking. Possibly Joe Royal time.
Earl Barrett. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Can you tell from that photo, Dave, if Villa are due to be playing in a Coca-Cola Cup match at some point in the near future?
Kind of gives it away. What the hell is that? Where are they? What is that? They look like on a bloody mud heap. What the hell are they?
They're seeing it like an inflatable Coca-Cola can.
Found a Coca-Cola can, and then what is that on? It looks like that can't be Villa Park. It looks like the baseball ground. It looks like the baseball ground, doesn't it? Back in the day. Yeah. That's oh my god. Yeah.
Oh dear.
He doesn't look. Kevin Richardson doesn't look too pleased, does he? To be fair, he doesn't look happy.
They're going to Wembley, so
and they're going to win. They're going to beat United as well, aren't they? Yeah,
they are going to beat United.
Remember that game? Yeah. Great game. Yeah.
In terms of the lineups, from our perspective, Lee Durant.
Yeah, Lee Durant.
Centre midfield. Yeah. With Steve Palmer.
Look, no disrespect to both. It doesn't really set the pulses racing that central or the one to their left. To be fair, no disrespect to any of them, but not one. Interesting front two actually. That's an interest. Marshall and Kiwomya. Well, obviously this season because obviously Kiwomya was off, but that couldn't have happened very often. But when we said about how did we describe before? Plucky. Clive Baker in goal. Obviously Stockwell, superb. Gavin Johnson. More of him in a minute. But Lee Durant. I meant to look when I saw Durant, and I meant to look. He couldn't have played more than one of these players. He just couldn't play more than 2 or 3 games. I think we last rewind. I think we covered Lee Norfolk, didn't we? I think he only made 1 or 2 perhaps sub appearances. This is obviously I meant to check how many games he played, but he didn't hold his place for the following week. I know that, Lee Durant. So obviously, he couldn't have played more than a handful of games.
No, certainly didn't start many, did he? Right, but in terms of the Villa team, this is a proper Villa. There's some players in this team that I used to really like.
I know. So the player I like, I don't know if you can say, I always liked Gary Parker.
Exactly who I was about to say. Gary
Always thought he
Parker
was
and
a good
Sean
player.
Teal. I used to
Yeah.
love watching those two play.
Yeah.
They're unsung, not highlight players, but
No.
Gary Parker. I used to love watching Gary
Yeah,
Parker play.
Luton, real out and out solid. Always seemingly like a 8 out of 10, 7, 8 out of 10 every single week. Yeah, good player, Gary. But I mean, look at that. There's some names in there. So obviously Mark Bosnich, Barrett, as we said, Ugo Ekiog, Sean Teal, as you said, that's Neil Cox in it. Tony Daly, flyer, absolute flyer on the wing. Richardson, who had been in that Everton squad that had won. Everton squad that had won the league, perhaps both squads, I think. Obviously Andy Townsend, and pretty decent front too, to be fair.
Yeah.
Atkinson and Saunders, flipping it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good team.
Yeah.
But it was a good team that would get well beaten.
Incredible. Yeah.
And you were talking about the Finidi George goal. The honestly, isn't it? It's a mirror
Carbon copy from the other side, left foot,
Yeah.
from the other side of the box, isn't it? Yeah, it's really good from that young Durran. He wins a really brave header. Second ball on the edge of the box, and then I think it's Paul. I think it could be Neil Cox, who sort of like a real just swings a leg at it, and it just doesn't quite connect. But then Gavin Johnson about what? It's got to be good 25 between 25, 30 yards, 28 yards, something like that. Just moves it on his left foot, and again a bit like the Finidi one, hits it quite early through a sort of forest of players seemingly, but it just beats Bosnich. He's sort of fairly well placed in the corner low to his left, and he just can't get down there. Johnson looks a bit surprised. Actually, his sort of goal celebration is a bit OTT, but yeah, he looks a bit surprised. Yeah, but yeah, when you look at it, and we hold out for 1-0. That's a great result. What a great character result that is on the back of and as we know, ultimately a result that was going to, ultimately keep us up by the skin. Yeah, results like that keep us up by the skin of our teeth.
Well, yes, exactly that. I'll get the league table up in a sec. But you say about Gavin Johnson, it's very similar vibes to that header he had, didn't he? That 18-yard header which dribbled and bounced about 4 or 5 times.
I thought you were going to describe the cross.
Oh no, I'm not allowed to talk about that header.
No, I know you're not. Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, so he was the master of the long-range left foot bobbler and the long-range header as well. Obviously, wasn't he? Yeah, described against Man City. Yeah, classic. I tell you what, Gavin Johnson always chipped in with a few goals. I know obviously we described his first goal of the Premier League for us against Villa. Always chipped in with a few goals. Yeah, again, just a good, solid professional, wasn't he?
Yeah. In terms of the league table, look at that. We're up to 12th. Don't everyone's bloody moaning about.
Heady heights.
Although we wouldn't win another match that season.
Is that true? Was that our last win?
Yeah, there were 11 matches. 11 matches left. We wouldn't win one, so we didn't stay in 12th for the rest of the season.
So just as well that we had a 12-point buffer then at that point. 12-point buffer at that point.
Well,
no,
you say it was
more. Yeah, 12.
It was important that we won that game. It was important that we won that game because we wouldn't win another match.
That is sensational.
And this was the Blackburn away last day of the season. Mark Stein and Chelsea, Sheffield United, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So,
as we said before, hindsight. So of course you want to stay in the Premier League, but hindsight. Oh, who knows? We might well have strengthened, and it wouldn't have happened. But going back to the Championship that season a year earlier would have saved us all that pain in the following year. But it's what it is. Is what it is.
Yeah. The biggest cheer of the day, apparently, was the Villa fans cheering because the news came from Old Trafford that Peter Schmeichel had been sent off and would therefore miss the League Cup final in 3 games' time. They actually lost their next 2 league games, but ended up, as you said earlier, Dave, beating Manchester United in the final of the League Cup.
Obviously, big run, yeah? Would it? Yeah, would have been big run. Of course it was. Yeah. No, that was. I remember that. I think Atkinson might have scored in that game. York, I think it's York and Atkinson.
Not Ron.
Not Big Ron. No, Dalian. Sorry, just qualify that. qualify that with Dalian. But yeah, I think Villa. Yeah, you say Villa finished. Villa finished 10th. Yeah, that's a sort of solid Villa side. Having obviously, I think the season before, having had a good run at the a good run at the top at the title the season before. I think. But,
well, they had a good team, didn't they? We went through it. There's a good solid team.
Yeah, very good. That was a hell of a win for us. Good grief. Yeah.
we're going to treat ourselves. We just spoke about Villa winning the League Cup. We're going to have a quick 30 seconds about Ipswich Town match in the League Cup, actually. At Aston Villa in 1992, Dave. December 1992, we were riding a wave of optimism and motion.
This just must have been a game or so. Maybe it was midweek before or around about that time when we had the famous 2-0 win at Norwich just before Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's the famous time because I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston has just got to number one as well. It's his first week at number one. So everyone had about the next 16 weeks, whatever the bloody hell it was, of listening to her belting that out.
Yeah. Good old Whitney.
The round before, actually, was when Neil Thompson scored that thunder bastard at Portsmouth. 30-yard free kick.
I do remember this cup run. We had a couple of games against Sheff Wed, didn't we? I
think
ultimately we were to lose in a
round afterwards.
Yeah, we lost in a replay, didn't we? Yeah, we were doing really well.
Yeah, I went to all of these. I went to the Portsmouth one. I was running to the ground as Neil Thompson scored. Heard it from outside. 1-0.
Saw
Thanks
it
very
hit
much.
the net and go out the back of the stand. That was a bit venomous, as you say. Proper thunder bee, that one.
At this Villa game, it was 2-2, Dave, wasn't it? And we clawed it back twice. Chris Kiwomya, birthday boy Chris Kiwomya, clawed it back twice.
We did. What was on? You forget about this. That was on. So the highlights. I wasn't there, but the highlights were shown on Midweek Sports Special, which used to come on after the ITV News at 10. That was obviously midweek, and for Midlands games, they had the commentator. But for a few seasons, and it was obviously St. and Greaves, he led on to it. They had Jimmy Greaves as co-commentator. And what I remember about this game, and you can see it on YouTube, is that it's an unbelievable finish for an equaliser from Chris Kiwomya, where the Villa not get caught playing out about the Villa keeper, who would have been
Spink. Nigel Spink.
It was still Spink, wasn't it? Tries to clear it in front of, I forget who, tries to clear it anyway. It just drops to Kiwomya, and he's a long way out, 35 yards maybe, and it's a brilliant finish, isn't it? He just hits it first time on the inside of his foot and curls it in the goal. It's an unbelievable finish, and like I said, 2-2, and I think we win quite a close. I think we win the replay 1-0, quite a close replay. Obviously, back then I assume it was following me, maybe on top of Christmas, maybe. Yeah, I'm not quite sure when that would have been, but yeah, it was. But what I was getting back to Jimmy Greaves is when Kiwomya scores, it's Jimmy Greaves' comment goes, "Oh dear."
Yeah. He, for a guy who spent,
oh dear,
a guy who spent all his time playing football in London, he seemed to be quite, shall we say, he didn't really enjoy either of Ipswich's goals, shall we say, from the commentary.
No, he didn't really. No, I can't remember. They scored. Saunders scored one for them. I can't remember.
Atkinson scored the other. I think.
Oh, Atkinson.
Yeah, Atkinson set up Saunders, and then Saunders set up Atkinson, or the other way around. Yeah. And whereas Kiwomya scored both of ours. I was at this, and I went to the Sheffield Wednesday game after. I remember this one because we got back to the car after the game, and my friend's car had been broken into. His Renault 19 had been broken into,
all right.
And the perpetrators had stolen his parcel shelf because it contained his speakers for the car stereo. So they took his entire parcel shelf out of the car. They also stole my Walkman.
His Pioneer speakers or whatever they were.
Yeah. Stole my Walkman and left my ABBA Gold tape on the seat. They didn't fancy that. They left that and took the Walkman. So that's how we spent the early hours of the morning in an auto glass in Birmingham trying to get his windows put back in. Yeah. Anyway, that's another story for another time.
If your car hasn't been broken into down the years on an away trip, then you've missed out on the experience, haven't you? It's just part of the away experience.
Yeah, it's quite not nowadays when you can pay to park in a B&Q or a
no, they're all a bit secure. Those were the days of of street parking, wasn't it? Street parking.
So you said, Dave, we lost in the next round. Didn't we get to the quarterfinals of both cups in this season? Didn't we?
I think we did. Yeah. Shock, I think, as we spoke about very early on in the podcast about we recorded on a Sunday morning after the commentary game. Yeah, last time we were in the 6th round, got beat by Arsenal, didn't we?
Imagine that, getting promoted and then getting to the quarterfinal of the cup.
Crikey.
Who knows? Who knows?
My goodness, we can only dream.
Brilliant. Thank you very much,
Good
Dave,
stuff.
for your time as
Enjoyed
ever. Hope everyone enjoyed watching, listening. Please, as ever, if you were at any of these games, if you listen to the fan zone commentary on Sky Sports, don't bother sending any messages in. But if you're at any of the games and got any memories of them,
had your car broken into? Has to be in a football. Has to be an away football match, though. Not generally.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a subscribe. This week we will have hopefully back to some sort of normality. The guys will be back on Thursday night to speak about Aston Villa away in the pre-match show, and then no doubt Dave, Joe, and Ben will be back Sunday evening for the flagship to speak about events after the event.
Yep.
This has been the Rewind Show on Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. We'll see you next time.